Hello my friends and welcome back to the rabbit hole. In today's video we are going to be talking all about a new skincare trend that I cannot seem to stop hearing about. We're going to chat about skin cycling. In a video where I am doing a PM skincare routine that I'm pretty sure would fall under the repair day in the skin cycling system. Now, some quick disclaimers before we get into this video. I want you all to know that today's video is not going to be as much about the products that I'm using. Instead, I'm doing longer term reviews of both the Skin 1004 brand. I did receive these complimentary from the brand, but my final long-term review will be unsponsored, and I'm also working on a longer term video covering the Perricone Cold Plasma line. I, as well as many of you, want to know if this is worth the cost, and that's what I'm trying to establish. I figure that once I'm maybe almost out of these, maybe then I'll have formed an opinion. With the Perricone line, I'm doing this when I feel ready to talk about it, I will system. So I don't know when that's coming. This is coming next week though. I don't know if it's just me, but I feel like it's so much easier to form an opinion when the product is, $20 versus, $160. Is it just me? Anyway, I'm going to start by removing my makeup. This is really easy makeup today, if you could even call it makeup technically. Technically, I think you should. It is the Tower 28 sunscreen plus some tubing mascara, so it'll be a breeze. I'm still going to go ahead and double cleanse though with the light cleansing oil. So let's chat about this skin cycling concept. Apparently this term, skin cycling, was coined by a dermatologist who is apparently most well known on TikTok. I do get the feeling that the format of skin cycling is really helping people. I really do. I think people are responding well to it, and I think it all makes sense. But actually, before I go off further on what I do like about skin cycling, because I do think it's a great idea, can I start with telling you about my skepticism? I'll rinse this off and be right back. So I'm over here hearing about this skin cycling for the first time. I'm expecting this to be some huge new breakthrough. So I go to look this up, I'm reading through all these articles, and I'm thinking, wait, isn't this just a skincare routine? Like a skincare routine where you alternate actives? Haven't we all been doing this already? Oh, so we're on the same page. That's not the Tata Harper Essence, that's the Neogen, which I'm currently testing as a possible dupe for the SK2. But as these things go, once I started actually reading up on what this skin cycling actually means, I do appreciate it at this point. I feel like it certainly can have a place. So I think what would be helpful for me to do is to put up on the screen how Whitney Bose, or Dr. Whitney Bose, system works. It is based around what you do in the evenings, far more so than the mornings. So the first night, it's a 4-night system. The first night is your exfoliation night, in which she suggests to use chemical exfoliators. The second night is your retinoid night. The third night is your repair night, and then the fourth night focuses on hydration. This makes it so that the whole system is kind of based around one product, which I think is great in terms of helping to simplify a routine. Now, I'm one of the people who does better with a longer routine, but that's not the case for everybody. Some people prefer, a 3 or 4 step routine, and that's what does best for their skin. And by making the focus one ingredient, I think it's a lot easier to simplify your routine, which may be really helpful for a lot of people. And I also really love what she suggests for mornings. It is always the same. There is no change in the morning routine, and that is, it is based around vitamin C, one of my long-term favorite ingredients, and sunscreen. Can I also please tell you all how nice it is to have a dermatologist, a licensed dermatologist, actually kind of back up some of the things that I have said work best for me. So if you happen to be aware of my adapalene journey, I actually started it only once a week. One time, moved up to twice a week for quite some time, and I'm now on About once every 3 days. I'm trying to move up to every other night, but it's still kind of hard because retinoids are intense ingredients and you can experience some extra dryness even though they are that beneficial for your skin, especially when you're new to them. So I am just thrilled to have a dermatologist recommending this system because it worked for me. It worked for me, and I did experience some criticism. I had some people saying, that's not enough. You can't be using a retinoid just twice a week. How would that be enough? It says on the back of the packaging to use it every night. And yeah, it certainly does. I think that'll work well for a lot of people, but what about those who have a little bit more difficulty adapting to the retinoid family? I kind of feel like what a lot of people might not know about skincare products is that the directions on them typically don't, for some reason, take into account the rest of your routine. This has actually been kind of a problem for a long time, especially in the West, where we rely so heavily on these intense active ingredients. I mean, no wonder that this need for repairing products just kind of has grown and grown and grown, with more people going, I did all the skincare things and now my skin is an absolute mess. Why? What happened? Chemical exfoliants have been another kind of interesting story for me. I do feel that this idea of once every 4 days may be a great way to use chemical exfoliating ingredients. For me, I actually prefer a strong chemical exfoliating ingredient just once a week. That is still not quite what Dr. Whitney Bose is suggesting, so it might possibly be too infrequent for some, but I'm happy with it. To have half of your nights dedicated to repair and to hydration, again, I really think this is going to be so helpful for people that have more sensitive skin. But I do still have some kind of questions about Dr. Whitney Bose's system and some things that I did indeed notice. So I did notice that she is selling a line, and I'm not surprised by that. It seems everybody that has any kind of success as a celebrity, influencer, what have you, starts up their own line. And I noticed her line was all about the hydration products. So, and I don't know the answer to this, so by the way, if you do, feel free to comment. But I kind of started wondering, is she pushing this half and half actives and half repair system to promote selling more of the repair products? Because one thing that I absolutely do feel is, again, I started slow with my retinoid and I worked my way up. I think that for most people, I would absolutely advise that. I would say to try to use retinoids as often as your skin is able to handle. For some people, that's every night. For some people, every other night. For some people, every third night. But from the benefits that I've seen from retinoids, I would personally recommend continue to try to work up. Even if, as in my case, that means tapering down the AHAs. That's for me personally, though. It may be different for other people, but for me, that's what works best. And I'm absolutely a fan of taking days for repair, but I don't know if it needs to be necessarily as frequent. I don't know if it needs to be this full 2 out of 4 days. But I think I just covered my own concern there. I'm concerned that people are going to, strictly stick with this rather than see the benefit that you can get from using retinoids in particular, more often. So I think that I would say to see it more as guidelines than to necessarily think you have to do this exact 4-day cycling system. Play around with it. Again, the reason I said this isn't a brand new concept is because if you go back 2 years ago in my videos, what I was doing is I was alternating retinol and a night off in the evenings, and then BHA and vitamin C in the morning. I really had to think about that. It's been so long. That worked great for me for a very long time. It's only recently that I've started kind of having almost a more complicated schedule with this, trying to get as much adapalene into my routine as possible, because I love the results and I see more benefits the more I use. It just, again, I know I'm repeating myself, but it was hard for my more sensitive skin type to adapt. I'm done with this PM routine, and I think I also coincidentally just summarized how I feel about skin cycling. I am so happy to see kind of a break from a bit of a more rigid approach to skincare. I've thought for a long time that a very rigid routine is most likely a recipe for failure. Can I coin that? What? We're coining everything now. It's the RIRU, the rigid routine. But at the same time, I do have some concerns in that this idea of breaking from a rigid routine might fall into another rigid routine. I think that before I end out this video, I want to leave it with a question for all of you, and that is, do you skin cycle? And if so, how? Do you stick with this 4 nights alternating system, or do you do something completely different? And that's really it for today's video. Again, this isn't a product review video, so I'll hold off on all reviews, but do stay tuned. Make sure you're subscribed if you want to hear my thoughts on these products. Thank you all so much for watching. If you found this video helpful, make sure to hit the like button. Have a wonderful rest of your week, and I will see you all next time.